everyone, and welcome to this episode of the ASMG's Back Pass. And of course, we have a whole slate of games to go over from the UPSL Georgia Premier Division. The previous week had the U.S. Open Cup. 5 of our teams were involved in that. But this past weekend, everybody returned to league play. And it's really had a big effect on a number of different things that are going on in both the zones, both for the zone title race as well as the playoffs places. And there's a switching around a little bit in the relegation situation. So there's plenty to talk about with some hot takes on what's been happening, and also a look forward to the coming weekend of action that ASMG is going to cover for you. So sit back and relax, and let's take a look at some of the results in both the zones, starting in zone number 1. So as we pick up on the action first in zone 1, we have the midweek game that occurred. It was a rescheduled match. Atletico Buford defeating Georgia Revolution 3-1 in a game that was full of controversy, full of a lot of disjointed play. It wasn't the prettiest game to watch, but it was a vital victory for Atletico Buford. Georgia Revolution couldn't seem to get in sync, and really were out of the game mentally on there, and spent a lot of time arguing with the referees and things of that nature. And I think they lost their focus in the match itself, and Atletico took full advantage of that and played it against them, I think, just looking at it from a neutral's point of view. But a vital win, because this also plays a factor in the head-to-head situation that might occur at the end of the season. And as if you didn't know, in the UPSL, tiebreakers are first decided by head-to-head results. And so when Atletico have won this game, if Georgia Revolution and Atletico end up on the same number of points, then Atletico would have the advantage because they won the head-to-head match here. And so it's almost like winning with 3 points and a half, because it gets you over the hump. And Georgia Revolution is going to have to hope that Atletico continue to drop points, and also that they continue to win in order to have an opportunity at the zone championship. I don't think there's any doubt that these two teams will be vying seriously for a playoff spot. I think that's pretty well established here. But anything is possible. Every team in the division still has a shot at the playoffs. So still half a season to go, and we'll have to wait and see how the results do happen. Now, both of these teams, although they played on Thursday, had to turn around and play the following Saturday. And Atletico came back and lost. And we talked about the drop points that Georgia Revolution were looking forward to, and here it happened 2 days later, with FC Columbus Elite defeating Atletico Buford 2-1. And this is the second good result for FC Columbus in the season. The first coming from the draw they had with Kalonji per profile, and now with Atletico Buford, which shows you that on any given day, any team can defeat any other team in the division. And this was a vital win for FC Columbus. It takes them off the cellar, out of the relegation zone in zone 1, at least for 1 week, because Georgia Athletic, as we'll see later on, were not able to get an advantage in their game. And so they dropped down in the relegation zone at the moment. And so it's a dogfight up and down the table. But a great result for FC Columbus Elite. It could turn their season around. Atletico Buford, is this a hiccup? Is this a sign of a dip in form that other teams like Kalonji and Georgia Revolution can take advantage of? Only time will tell. And speaking of that, Georgia Revolution came back 2 days later, no such slump in their step at all, as they emphatically defeated Georgia Athletic, who now have fallen down into that relegation zone with the single victory they've had this season. Georgia Revolution probably a little upset about the situation with the game that they lost against Atletico. Came back with a vengeance, and they really went away with quality in this game. 6-2, night and day to the result that they had against Atletico. Seemed to keep their head in this game and played a little bit more focused football, which is always good to see from teams. Georgia Athletic fought but could not really get going in this game. And this game was played at Georgia Revolution's home field. It's natural turf. It's a little bit tougher for teams that go from the artificial turfs to the natural turfs. Sometimes these natural turfs, they start to deteriorate over the course of a season. And, that's called home field advantage in some cases. And so you just have to adjust and make your tactical changes and try to overcome those things. But it is Georgia Revolution with a vital win, keeps them in earshot of the zone title and securing each week a place in the playoffs. So we'll have to see, what develops in that race that goes forward. Georgia Athletic, we'll have to see what happens with them as they struggle to get out of the relegation zone, which now they've fallen behind FC Columbus, with Columbus winning over the past weekend. Next up, we have Kalanji per profile against Georgia Impact SC. Kalanji coming out ahead 1-0 in this victory for them. Keeps them in the hunt for the Zone 1 title, but they, of course, they have that uphill battle to catch Atletico, as well as fight with Georgia Revolution in this 3-horse race for the zone title. Both Kalanji per profile and Georgia Revolution have lost to Atletico, so they own the head-to-head decisions right now. So they're going to need a little help, both of them, to get over that hump. But this is a step in the right direction for Pro Profile, who are looking to build with getting some positive results in the games they have in hand to catch up. Georgia Impact, although a loss, doesn't really hurt their chances so much for a playoff spot. Their goal coming into the season might have been to survive, because they were beneficiaries of the realignment, allowed them to come up, although they were not successful in the D1 playoffs last season. But they've taken full advantage of that and put themselves in a good position for a playoff spot if they can continue to have the improved performances they've started to have now in the season. So it'll be interesting to see how their performance ends up by the end of this season. We'll keep an eye on the Impact and see if they can make that playoff spot. But they've already really demonstrated a successful season already, performing as well as they have. Came close in this one. Not the prettiest of games. I think this would be classed as a game where you win ugly. It was a nationally focused game on UPSL, produced by us at ASMG. But not the prettiest game to watch, but again, a vital result. And then, after this game, of course, Kalanji had to come back a couple of days later, which was last night, to play Pachuca, Georgia. And they won that game 3-0. This is one of the games that were going to make up that was in hand, rescheduled due to the U.S. Open Cup, where they played LSA Norcross Pro and won that one. So they're going to the next round, which is going to be November the 2nd, which is going to cause another reschedule, another midweek game there. But a good victory for them, much better performance than the previous game against the Impact. Pachuca, for all of their hard work, really couldn't get a good challenge in on Pro Profile, even though during the match, Pro Profile had a man sent off and played a large portion of the second half with 10 men. But it didn't seem to make a difference. They still seemed to dominate on the pitch. Never got into top gear, but didn't need to under the circumstances. Part of the thing was Kalanji. Kalen Kalanji came, he was back in the side just like he was with the U.S. Open Cup. There is something I'm trying to look into as to why many of the Pro Profile players were prevented or restricted from playing in the UPSL, not because of the UPSL, but because of MLS Next. They compete in multiple leagues, as you may know. And they have a number of their younger players playing in MLS Next, and that put restrictions on them to where they couldn't play with other teams. Now, I don't think this restriction is across the board. I think Atlanta United are able to play their teams, their players in both leagues. So I want to personally look into and see why that's happening. But he is back and made a good impression on the game himself. Was one of the engines in the midfield. Got on the score sheet along with Kareem Tamimi and Awanja Medard, another young player that is back in the main, and it could make a big difference for Pro Profile as they go in towards that zone challenge for the title. Pachuca still in a good spot to get to the playoffs, as we mentioned before, and I think that if they are able to play the rest of the season like they have in the earlier part of the season, they should be able to challenge for one of those 4 spots in the playoffs coming up. But that rounds out the Zone 1 coverage. We'll now get into Zone 2. So now as we get into Zone 2, we have probably the game of the week, the weekend. Portros FC hosting LSA Norcross Pro. Winning this game, Portros does 3-1. Again, we talk about that head-to-head situation. LSA Norcross were tied with Portros in first place. But with this victory, it gives Portros an edge. Now, one of the problems Portros is going to have right now is because they have played the fewest games in the entire Georgia Conference, and that's due to a number of factors. One, they're in the U.S. Open Cup, and so they've had to reschedule some games. They had one game postponed due to severe weather, and so and I think there was another one that was delayed or rescheduled because of the other team with a facility issue. So they're trying to play catch up with their games in there. So far, they've been perfect, though. They're perfect in the league. They're perfect in Open Cup with their victory over North Georgia in the second round. And now they're going to be playing on November the 2nd, I believe, against Atletico Buford. And that game's going to be at Marietta High School on the Portros Network. And so they're going to have the issue of fixture congestion, and that could be a factor in their challenge for the Zone 2 title. But right now, they're where they need to be in first place. And LSA Norcross Pro now are in a serious condition because they have sort of gotten into a mini slump here, knocked out of the U.S. Open Cup by Kalanji Pro Profile, but now they've lost to Atlanta United and Portros, 2 of their rivals for the zone title. And so they've lost head-to-heads on both of those. And they're going to need some help if they're going to get to that Zone 2 title. I don't think there's any danger of them dropping out of the playoffs or anything like that. But it's going to be a tough road now as they're going to have to bear down and most likely win out and hope that both Atlanta United and Portros drop points towards the end of the season to have any hope at looking at that Zone 2 title. But a quality game, quality teams here, and so it'll be interesting to see how these 2 teams finish out and how that race goes for the Zone 2 title. Another game in Zone 2 was Soccer Saves Lives, who were hosting Scenic City FC. Scenic City coming out 1-0 victory, a close fought game. Again, much like that Kalanji game I talked about, not a very pretty game. But again, when you win ugly, you get those 3 points no matter what you look like when you get it there. And Scenic City keeps themselves in the fight, really, for the Zone 2 title. It's a long shot because of the quality in front of them. There's teams in front of them that most likely are not going to drop that many points, and Scenic City is going to have to win out to have an opportunity. But more realistically, playoff spot looks very, very good for them right now. Soccer Saves Lives are right now trying to get back into that playoff picture, but they have been dropping points at an alarming rate a little bit here. And so it's going to take them to kind of buckle down and focus a little bit more to try to get back into that playoff picture. But a close game there, and Scenic City comes out ahead there. And it'll be good to see what they're going to do for the rest of the season as we get into sort of the later parts of the 2025 fall season now. And of course, we talked about Atlanta United. They've been on a tear here. And the story here is Mason Peacock, 5 goals. This is his first game coming into Atlanta United for the season. And he scores 5 and puts himself also in the Golden Boot race, which we'll go over to before the end of the pod. Immediately there with a 5-3 victory over FC Birmingham. Terrell Price with a brace and Juan Alvarado with the other goal for FC Birmingham. And FC Birmingham played well in this game. And it was just Atlanta United are just on a roll right now. Their 3rd victory in a row after dropping the first 2 victories. Now they do have players coming into the side that have been playing for the Atlanta United 2s. Of course, this team is mainly made up of U16 and U18 players, but they're well-coached, professionally coached squad here on a professional schedule, and it's really starting to show. And so definitely going to be one of the points for the title for Zone 2. They're going to be in contention for that, neck and neck right now with Portros. They play Portros this weekend on ASMG, and we'll bring you all that action. That'll be the game of the weekend coming up. But FC Birmingham played well, like I said, but again, they dropped vital points for themselves. Still not in that relegation zone. They've still on 3 points after 3 draws for this season. They seem to be very, very close to a breakthrough. And I think a lot of times, we have 3 teams with facility issues. These things play a factor in the performance of the teams. This should have been a home game for FC Birmingham, but because of the facility pulling the rug out from under them at the last minute, they had to play their home game at Atlanta United. And so that's not a good advantage. That's not really fair, but it's what happens when you don't have the control over these facilities. And so it's something that I'm going to be talking to the conference managers about. See if we can work out something else that gives us a little bit more control for these teams that are looking for a permanent place there to play their home games. So I'm sure that had to be a factor. Atlanta United are a great host, though. Took real good care of FC Birmingham players when they came there, even provided a meal for them while they were there. So great sportsmen that Atlanta United were in this game, but they came out on the top end with the 5-3 victory. And so Atlanta United punched into the title race for a Zone 2. And the last game to cover in Zone 2, of course, is Dalton United FC defeating North Georgia United FC in the North Georgia Derby. This is a rival game between the two, bragging rights for the area up there in North Georgia in the Dalton area, Calhoun area. And a game that was not live streamed, unfortunately, so wasn't able to watch any of it. I'm going based off of the match report from the referees, but it looks like Dalton United really just dominated in this match. And I think it's a vital win for them because much like FC Columbus, it brought them off of the cellar and put North Georgia in the cellar for that. It's sort of like the Sunderland and Newcastle kind of a rivalry there. And so Dalton United have inched themselves up. Is this a turnaround for Dalton? I don't know. Is this a fluke? North Georgia have been struggling, and I think that Dalton just really took advantage of this. But, these derby games are really, really tough. A little bit more spirited in play. I'm sure there was a lot of emotion in this match. But could this be the turnaround for Dalton? We'll have to wait and see. North Georgia, when can they turn it around? When can they get themselves together? They have a lot of quality in the side. They just have not been able to put it together. Struggling again this season. Can they stay out of their main goal is going to be to get out of relegation. I don't think they need to be thinking about playoffs or title or anything like that. just get out of relegation, which means you got to start collecting points as soon as you can. This was a bad loss for them in that respect, but there's still enough games to do something about it. So we'll have to wait and see, and keep an eye on both of these teams and see which way they're going to go for the balance of the season. So what does this mean for the league tables? And so we're going to first look at zone number 1, and we're going to provide a little bit more detail now because it's starting to have an effect on the placement of these teams. Just as a reminder, in each of the zones, the top 4 teams will qualify to go on to the division playoffs. And from there, they play to see who's going to go on to the Nationals. So the winner of the division playoffs, they get a trophy, obviously. But that determines who goes on to the round of 32 in the national playoffs for a chance at a piece at that $155,000 prize. So a lot to play for here. And right now, as you can see, Atletico Buford are in first place. They've played 7 games, goal difference of 12. Kalanji per profile right behind them with a game in hand. Only a goal difference of 5, though, on 13 points. Georgia Revolution there also played 6 games, goal difference of 2 on 10 points. Now, again, to remind you, Atletico Buford have defeated both Kalanji and Georgia Revolution. So if those 2 teams are able to get up there, and either one of those teams are able to finish with Atletico on the same number of points, Atletico would get the title based off of head-to-head tiebreaker. Now, if there is a situation where, because Kalanji is going to play like Georgia Revolution twice in this season, some of the teams they played twice. If the head-to-head is even, then it goes to goal difference, and so there are a number of different tiebreakers that occur to decide who is going to go on and who goes home, basically. And so right now, it's really, really tight up there. I think it's almost turning into a 2-horse race because of the points and the number of games left. But somebody somebody drops points, and the other teams can take full advantage of it. So it's still all to play for those top 3 teams. Pachuca, Georgia, putting their case in for that playoffs. They're still in the 4th position, which is a playoff spot, despite the loss from this past weekend. Their destiny is in their own hands. They've played 6 games, goal difference of 3. Georgia Impact right there, played 7 games so far. Goal difference even at 0. On 8 points, the same as Pachuca. But Pachuca, because of the goal difference, although these 2 teams tied 0-0 earlier in the season, that's a situation where the head-to-head is even. The goal difference puts Pachuca ahead of the Georgia Impact for that playoff spot. And you can see how tight it can be and why the head-to-heads are so important, why the goal difference is so important. It can be the decider. And down in 6 is FC Columbus Elite. It looks bad from their point of view, but they just got out of the relegation zone, which is the last place in each of the zones. So the relegation, which means you go down to Division 1 at the end of the season if you end up there. And so Columbus Elite, with a fantastic victory over Atletico on this past Saturday, move themselves up the table a little bit and see if they can maintain that momentum going into the second half of the season. Georgia Athletic, they won their first game of the season and haven't done anything since, unfortunately. They've played well at times. They just haven't been able to get the decisions just yet. So I would expect them to get some results pretty soon. They're going to be on in their game with ASMG this coming weekend. So you'll get to see them there and see what they can do. Maybe they can turn things around like FC Columbus did this last week. So they're going to be looking to try to get out of that relegation quagmire, but it's a tall order right now. There's a lot of quality in front of them. Getting into Zone 2, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Porteros FC in first place on goal difference right now. They play Atlanta United this coming weekend, a game that's going to be on ASMG. And as you see, they've played only 4 games so far in the division, and for the reasons we mentioned before. They're trying to play catch up. They're going to have some fixture congestion to deal with. Atlanta United's right there, but on an inferior goal difference. But again, this weekend we'll see what kind of head-to-head situation comes up. Can Portros continue with their perfect Invincibles season, or will Atlanta United, who've been revitalized since the third game, continue on their rampage as they go through up the table and vow for that first place spot, which they can get with a victory this coming weekend. Scenic City FC, we talked about them in third place. A great first season for them in the division. They're on 5 games so far played, and 3 goal difference on 10 points. LSA Norcross Pro, they've dropped down. They got into a mini slump, knocked out of the Open Cup in the second round there against Kalanji Pro Profile, and they've lost 2 in a row now. Once against Atlanta United, and the other one against Portros FC, the 2 top teams. Again, that's a head-to-head situation. They may have kind of knocked themselves out of the hunt for the title for Zone 2. It would take a pretty momentous collapse from above them for them to have a chance to get back into it. But they're still in the playoff hunt in that 4th spot there. With the surprise performance of Scenic City, they've dropped below them. So they got a little bit of a dogfight on their hands just to get in the playoffs, I think, at this point. And then there's Soccer Saves Lives, who have dropped out of the playoff spot, down on 4 points, just outside the playoff picture. But a lot of games, they're halfway through their season, this 10-game season. And so they have an opportunity to come back. And, of course, the comeback kids, Dalton United, now kind of bubbling up the table after spending the early part of the season in the relegation zone. Got a draw and a win subsequently, and now up in 6th place, really within shouting distance of a playoff spot if they can get their act together and focus a little bit and return to the Dalton United we're used to seeing in past seasons, a team that normally would be vying for the division title. So we'll have to see what happens with them. FC Birmingham, a lot of things have gone wrong for them off the field, which I think has affected them on the field. But they're still trying hard, playing well every week, not getting the results every week, but at least they're out of the relegation area, where North Georgia is firmly planted right now, and they're going to be favorites for the drop. When you consider the talent that's above them and the way that North Georgia has been playing of late, they're halfway through their season, -11 on the goal difference, and just with the single victory, which, by the way, was against Atlanta United, which, it tells you, I mean, any team, like I said in Zone 1, any team in these divisions can pop up and win. That's why they're in Premier. There's a reason why they're in Premier. And so everybody has something to play for here. So it'll be interesting to see if they can claw themselves out of there, or will they find themselves at the end of the season ready for Division 1 play in 2026. We'll have to wait and see. But that's going to be the review of both the league tables. We'll get now into what's coming up this coming weekend and what ASMG is going to cover for you. Okay, and before we get into the upcoming games from the weekend, we're going to take a look at the top goal scorers so far. I've combined the goal scorers from both Zone 1 and Zone 2 in one list here. Nazario and Bamio with Portro still in first, but tied now with Wilfred Camden of Georgia Impact, both on 7 goals scored for the season. Christian Suazo with Atletico Buford on 6. Pedro Lima also with Portros on 5, along with Mason Peacock with Atlanta United, who scored 5 in one game, and he went from 0 to 5 and put himself in the race for the Golden Boot Award, which will be given at the end of the season. Still a couple of goals down from the leaders here, but it's very, very tight here. Anything can happen from week to week, as we see. And a whole host of players on 4 and 3 as we get on down in the season. So tight race in both the zones, tight race in the Golden Boot. And so we're going to take a look now at the upcoming fixtures this weekend. And we do have a full slate of games again this coming weekend in both Zone 1 and Zone 2. We'll look at the upcoming fixtures for Zone 1. No games on Saturday in Zone 1, but we have 3 on Sunday. Atletico Beaufort will be hosting Georgia Athletic SC 2 p.m. That game is going to be at Shorty Howell. Very important game for Atletico. They're trying to stay in first place in Zone 1 with both Kalanji per profile and Georgia Revolution breathing down their necks. Georgia Athletic, of course, trying to get out of the relegation zone. So desperation for different reasons for both the teams. Just a note, this game should have been at George Pierce Park. George Pierce Park, one of those facilities like Pinecrest and Carver in Alabama, who have pulled the rug out from under our teams. And it is a very unpleasant situation. It's caused us to scramble. Shorty Howell is not necessarily a great place for Premier Division teams, but it'll have to do for the rest of the season for Atletico. Unfortunately, we are in discussions with the league for a solution to some of these issues we've seen pop up this season. I think there's some very viable solutions we'll announce those at the appropriate time. But for now, just know that Atletico and Georgia Athletic are going to be playing that very important match at Shorty Howell at 2 p.m. on Sunday. And you can catch that on ASMG TV YouTube channel. Georgia Impact SC will be hosting Georgia Revolution, another nail biter for both of the teams. Georgia Impact trying to get into the playoff places. Georgia Revolution in the playoff places, trying to stay in contention and reach of a Zone 1 title. If the teams above them falter, they want to be able to take advantage of them. And so that game is going to be a very interesting one on Sunday as well. Pachuca playing FC Columbus Elite. We've seen what FC Columbus Elite have done in this past weekend and previously. They've gotten themselves out of the relegation zone. Pachuca still hanging on to a playoff spot, wants to consolidate that with a result on Sunday. So we'll see what happens with that. They turn around and play Thursday, midweek makeup game here. They're going to be hosting Georgia Athletic. And again, we know the desperation that Georgia Athletic are under. They have 2 games this coming week to do something about that. Pachuca have 2 games this week to solidify a playoff place or else. And so we'll have to wait and see how that goes for all of these teams in Zone 1. Very good group of games to look forward to for the fans on Sunday and Thursday. Zone 2, as we get into this, Atlanta United Academy hosting Potros FC, Atlanta United Training Ground, 4 p.m. kickoff on Saturday, the game of the week. And that game is going to be on ASMG TV. Larry Weaver will be on the call for that. This is a massive, massive game. Atlanta United could go top of the league, or Potros could be sole leader, depending on the result. Could be a draw as well. But head-to-head's on the table here. Title implications are here, and it's just 2 of the top teams basically in the entire conference, in the Premier Conference, either zone. So, get your popcorn and your beverage together for that game and watch it on ASMG TV, because it's going to be a dandy. And going on to Sunday, we got 3 games on the slate there. Scenic City SC, we've seen how they've played this season. They're deep in the playoff picture at the moment, looking to even give a shout out to the title if the teams above them falter a little bit. Dalton United out of the relegation zone. Could they return to the Dalton United of old and get a result here against Scenic City? Will it be a toe-to-toe battle here? Hard to say, but it's going to be worth seeing. So check that game out. North Georgia United FC fell into the relegation zone. They have a game at home against Soccer Saves Lives. Not going to be an easy game for them. They're going to be looking for results. Soccer Saves Lives desperately trying to play themselves into a playoff picture. So, of course, they're going to want to get a result as well. So it's going to be a very nail-biting situation for both of those teams. And we'll have to see how that goes out. LSA Norcross Pro in a little bit of a slump in the past few games here, knocked out of the U.S. Open Cup and losing to Atlanta United and Potros in subsequent weeks. They have a date with FC Birmingham at Meadow Creek Stadium, another game that will be on ASMG TV. FC Birmingham looking for their first win. They've drawn 3 games out of the season, but have yet to win. And so they're looking to come up and get a result here against LSA Norcross, who they could be catching at a good time. But on the flip side of that, Norcross is looking to rebound against some setbacks in the league and the cup. So you'll have to check out the ASMG TV broadcast to see how that turns out. So that's going to be it for the coming games on the weekend. And before we go, I just wanted an opportunity to talk about the UPSLsoccer.com website. This is a place where you can go to learn more about the league, but also particularly all the stories about some of the players that are going on to the next level, finding their pathway to professional. And they're doing it through the UPSL. As you see here, Carlos Chavarria of Atletico Buford. And now there are other players throughout the league that you can read about, and you really see how special the UPSL is. It's designed to find that pathway for a lot of players that ordinarily would not be seen. And that's, again, why ASMG exists, is try to widen the exposure and help the UPSL, feature these players in these games to those that may not know about it. And it's a very compelling story, compelling competition. So check that out, and I think you'll find that very entertaining. But for now, thank you for listening in again with us on this Back Pass episode. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when all the announcements come out for our live streams, our podcasts, and the like. So thank you again for all of your support and all the feedback we're getting, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.